Hey, good evening, Honore. Good evening, Bike. How are you guys doing today?
Good, good.
Very good, Sam. How are you?
Very good. How is Washington, D.C.? Have you been there lately?
You know that Washington D.C. there is a critical big event coming in Washington D.C. The U.S. Africa summit with more close to 50 presidents coming to Washington D.C. So I guess there will be a lot of very important personality in the area in the coming days.
Absolutely. That is definitely a big event
Yeah,
that we need
as
to
a matter of
monitor
fact,
closely.
President Paul Biya is around.
That's a big deal.
That's a, that's the news that we're breaking in the bike show.
Absolutely. That's a big deal. Bike. How is life in Canada today? How is Montreal
Oh,
going?
Canada is good. I'm also learning the news. There's that news is being breaking here live to us that President Paul Biya is in Washington D.C. No, life in Canada is good, and you know that here winter is always hot. We are below zero temperatures now, and as a matter of fact, it's Christmas, and Christmas always comes with snow, and it has snow today. Then, yeah, we are here. Everything's good.
Absolutely. When you're talking about Canada, I cannot refrain myself from talking about the climate here in Louisiana. As a matter of fact, I was driving today with the AC in my car. Can you believe that?
Don't tell me about that.
Yeah, you cannot say that. I am very close. I am just less than 2 weeks away from Christmas, and I'm driving with the AC in my car.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. Mhm.
guys, today we are here for with a different topic, the IT for all career talk. I think it's important to say that the IT for all here is a business that is a business that is all about training in IT for everybody. And what we're here for is to talk a little bit about career in IT. And today we'll be focusing more on the cybersecurity and digital literacy. So it is very important here to start with maybe a small definition of cybersecurity. Honore, you are an expert in cybersecurity. Can you give us just a short, brief definition of cybersecurity that is digest for everyone?
Yes, thank you very much, Sam. Cybersecurity is all the measure that individual or enterprise or country, every entity need to take to protect itself from the digital world. You know, it's all the measure that everybody needs to take to be safe online, to have a safe activity, every activity that is related to it protection, to the image, to it technology that it use. So basically, without going into the technology, cybersecurity is to stay safe in conducting your activity, keeping your information safe, keeping your operation safe, keeping your name safe.
Absolutely. Thank you for that definition. If we look a little bit at what the government of the US will say about that, uh, if we bring into the definition the cyberspace, and in everything that you were saying, you were talking about the cyberspace because that's what we're talking about. So if we say that the cyberspace and the underlying infrastructure are very, very vulnerable to a
Right.
wide range of risk that stems from both the physical and cyber threats and hazards. Sophisticated actors, cyber actors, and nation states are able to exploit the vulnerability of the cyberspace to steal the information, just like you were saying, and to steal money. That's very important because when we say information, some people will say that information is just information. It's not important, but they use it to steal money too, meaning that they can disrupt the life of everyone. They can destroy the life of people, the life of companies, the life of countries too,
Right.
as we should mention that. So, Honore, in this definition, Why is the term physical so important? We're talking about the cyber. The cyber is virtual. Why do we mention the physical here, and why is it important?
We mentioned the physical because in a very wide range of issue, you have to deal with the physical aspect of the cybersecurity. For instance, if you are a company, right? You have a
Yes.
different asset in your site. You have a different asset, meaning equipment, meaning critical room, meaning critical. Not even in your own facility, not all the access are the same. You have some place where you have mission critical activity. You have some place where you have mission critical function. You have even the safety of your people, right, on site. And so, if I know that I'm able to get into a facility, go to a server room, if I want to do, because one of the critical aspects of cybersecurity is something that is called availability, right? So if your equipment is not available, that means that you are disrupt, right? So instead of staying 100 feet or 100 miles or in a different country away to attack you online, if I have the ability to go into your building and disconnect everything and get out, why would I not do that? Why would I?
Yes.
That's the best. That's the best unavailability that you can have, right?
Absolutely.
If I get on premise, let's say I'm an employee, I'm not happy about the operation. I have a bad, let's say I have a bad review from the manager. Let's say I get fired. We see that all the time. You remember in some workplace in Canada. You remember in some workplace in the Pentagon. You remember a lot of instances where people get fired, and 1 week or 1 year later they come on premise with the gun, right?
Absolutely.
To gun down a lot of people. So, and that's why you can't because that's why sometimes you see employee, you receive training, you say that, okay, even if you are with your friend, you work in the same office, how do you know that the guy is not fired anyway already? You have to scan your badge, he has to scan his badge, because as an employee, you don't know if his badge is still working. And that's why stuff like tailgating, getting into the premise, or letting someone, or not following the physical rule is very critical for a company that have a lot to lose. So
Absolutely. And I think that you just connect all those words that I was going to ask you some other questions about. You just connect it to the disruption of service by
right,
accessing the physical space of a company.
right.
Pierre Armand, you work in the IT as a project manager. I am sure that you have some input or some questions that Honore can break it down for our viewers.
Yeah, Honore elude on that earlier about information, protecting information. Honore, what I want to ask to you is why are companies protecting information? As individuals as well. I know that we have what we call personal individual information. We don't want to be everywhere in every hand. And as you said that companies will protect the availability of that information for those who want to use it. Are there any other aspect of the information companies enterprise need to protect today?
Information is very valuable, because for different aspects, right? For different aspects, you have first of all, you have compliance rule in different countries. For example, there's some information that you can disclose, even like, let's say, healthcare information. Those are information that belong to people. When you go to the hospital, you do diagnosis, you have some different cases, you have private information of people about their kid, their whole care information, their family. Those information are so protective, and let's say in the United States, for example, fall under the HIPAA law, right? So just about that type of information, you have regulation there where you have to protect that by even by the HIPAA law, for example. when you take everybody, for example, in different countries use credit card information, for example. Those are information that are protected by the financial industry, meaning that you collect card number of people, you collect PIN number, you collect the CVV number. So those are information that, again, by law is protected. So it's not like you want or you don't want. It's that you can do business if you don't protect those information, right? And so that's from the regulation standpoint. Now, when you look at other type of information, let's say when we go online, you are asked a different information by, let's say you want to just open a free email by Google. They connect a lot of information on you, where you are, what's your phone number, all these things. They have a database in their server that have those information. But can you give that to Google? You didn't give that to the world, right? So Google have the obligation under something they call a user agreement, privacy agreement. You see sometime when you go online just for your own activity, you see always a declaration of privacy agreement and stuff like that. So all these information, the company has the right, because of what they do, to protect those information even from the consumer standpoint. So now, if you turn out to be the company, when your name is on CNN because you just get hacked, that means that there are gonna be a lot of things that can happen to you. You have a bad name, right? You are in the news for the wrong reason. You have a customer that might say, "Oh, if this guy get hacked, maybe I don't want to do business anymore with this company."
Then reputation. You are talking about reputation.
You have your reputation. You have your own employee who will be that, okay, they have their private information inside the company, and also they don't trust working for that company anymore. And long term, you don't even know what. There's a number out there, right? 65% of small business, for example, who get hacked, go out of the business after 2 years. So listen again, 65% of small business who get hacked are not in the business anymore after 2 years. What that mean? That means that even the business that are very big who get hacked, they're still in business just because they have a very wide financial asset. But when you are a small business, not a very, when you get hacked, there's a likely that you will not be able to survive.
Okay, I see. Then another question that follows that one is, when you talk about information, those information, I know that to conduct business, companies need information to be available, and they need those information. They also care about the integrity of this information, and the integrity and the confidentiality of this information. Is really that we will call CIA, like confidentiality, integrity, and availability, some aspect of what every cybersecurity specialist need to care about.
Right. I mean, those are the three, really, I would say, the foundational of why cybersecurity exists in the first place. Like even when we were talking about earlier about the physical aspect, that will actually impact the availability, because if for whatever reason I get on premise, I kill people, or I get in premise, I disrupt the operation because I disconnect, I just get into the server room, I remove all the cable, that will impact availability because nobody will be able to work, right? So,
absolutely.
And so that's a different place. I mean, there's a different other example that can impact availability, like when you talk about denial of service. Those are more technicality into the computer world itself, which is being able to prevent the people who have legit use of the service. You can overwhelm the service. What the hacker do is to be able to overwhelm the service that the legit, like when you go to Amazon, for example, right? Let's take something that people can, you go to Amazon and you try to shop, but because there's so much requests coming to that server that the regular shopper will not be able to get to the site. So what happened? You say, okay, I'm not shopping today. So that's a lot of money, for Amazon, because everybody wanted to shopping will not be able to get access to that server. So that's again a problem of availability. And
Absolutely, absolutely,
and
Honore. I mean
yeah,
that is a great point that you bringing in there to bring the user and the shopping on Amazon, for example. So I think maybe we didn't emphasize enough, and all those points you already brought them on, and Bike also brought them on. But we have to emphasize to the listener that our life today is so connected to the technology that
right,
it's very, very much difficult to find just a small aspect of our life, especially in the Western world, that is not connected to the technology. And we see that the information technology world is so much integrated with the physical infrastructure that the boundary is not it's not possible today to define the boundary. For example, we be talking about the social media, and in the past, when we say social, it will be gathering outside with friends at a bar to drink a beer or around the bonfire. Nowadays, it's not the same thing anymore. It's on Facebook. It's even on a live streaming like we're doing right now. People do that for the social on everyday basis. You will see community organizations like churches nowadays. They meet online. Everything is happening in the cyberspace, just like we're saying. And that is where it becomes so important to emphasize that cyberspace, when we're talking about it, is a topic of concern for not just for the big companies, but for also for the everyday people, myself, yourself, the baby, the grandma, the grandpa, everyone. It doesn't exclude anyone. And so, because of the integration of those, the technology, the physical, and the cyberspace, the risk is so big. Just like you were saying, the user will go to Amazon trying to shop, and then the availability of the service will not be possible, and the user will be thinking, "Oh, what's going on? My computer is not working," and it's because something at another level that they cannot understand is happening, maybe because of a bad actor who is disrupting the service on the side of Amazon. And so, um, just to kind of move a little bit, because we have a series of talk on this, and we don't need to go into the very top detail today. It will not help our listeners. So let me just bring this up front, and just to summarize a little bit what we're talking about and put them into perspective. So I will say that the cyberspace is particularly difficult to secure due to a number of factors. And this is, Honore, you already talked about some of those factors. I'm just summarizing them here. So we have the ability of the malicious actors to operate from anywhere in the world. You
right,
mentioned that, and you mentioned the difference between that one operating from 6,000 miles and the one who has the physical access and who can go in and disrupt everything. And those are two different type of actors. We also have the linkage between the cyberspace and the physical system. Just I was saying just a second ago. And also the difficulty of reducing the vulnerability and the consequences in complex cyber networks, because we have the networking and everything is so interconnected that uh, nowadays those who know that everything is connected are very few, because some people will think that, oh, I'm taking a plane today to travel to Europe, and they forget that for that plane to take off, you need to have the network, the IT network operating. Otherwise, it will not be possible for that airplane to take off, just because of how it is interconnected. With the automatic driving cars, it's the same problem. They are connected to a server to get some of the data at some point. So if they are not connected, they will not be able to drive. And I also have to say here that the malicious actor is someone who is most of the time ahead of the curve, because he is there looking for vulnerability to disrupt the system. And most of the time, these are the people who kind of bring to the attention of the cyber experts like yourself the vulnerability that is in their system, because that malicious can access the system. And where I'm going to right now is to come back to you as an expert in the field. Can you tell us more about what a cybersecurity expert like yourself does in a company, for example, to keep the company safe? And what kind of background, what kind of training do you need to be able to do that?
I would say there's cybersecurity it depends sometimes of the size of the company, right? Some
Sure.
company have a lot to lose in terms of there's a one rule in a there's a one funny rule that says that a company cannot invest more than what they are protecting. So if you are protecting 5 million, it's not the same that a company is protecting billion, right? If you are a small business, like I said, if you are a small business, meaning that you have 3, 4, 5 offices, it's not like a company that is in the entire United States. It's not a company that is around the world. But the spirit's still the same, right? The spirit's still the same. It's just more about, do I have a team of 500 engineers, or do I have a team of 1 person, 2 person? So it depends on the size. So, but just to talk about the most, let's say, talk about the most general case, which is protecting a big company or a government, stuff like that. Most engineers will be doing. A lot of people know about host protection, which is antivirus. I would talk about when you have laptop moving around. You talk about encryption, being able to protect the host itself, be able to monitor what's going on the device, on the servers. When we talk about it, so you have that host protection. You have stuff like looking at, for example, a lot of people in their own laptop receive sometimes even on your phone, right? When you have an iPhone or a laptop, when you turn on your laptop every month, you see update available. You need to update. When you turn on your phone, iOS or Android, update available. This is because every other month there's across the industry there's a lot of discovery of vulnerabilities, right? When there's no vulnerabilities, meaning what? Meaning that there could be what is a vulnerability to begin with? It's something that can be. It's just like you have your door and your door is not closed and you left your house, you are away. You forget to close your house. That's a vulnerability. What that mean? That means that somebody can come in. It doesn't need a key to get it, right? Because your door, you forgot to lock your door. So every other month, when it comes to software, to hardware, there could be vulnerability that are discovered, meaning that when this server or network or computer or software were put in production, there was a problem. Now that problem is discovered, and then a lot of what is called exploit or tools out there that are able to then take advantage of those vulnerability. Again, if you let your door open, somebody, which is the chief, can come in, and because now you make it easy to him, he can grab everything and just go because he doesn't need a key. You forget, and so you are vulnerable. So it's the same thing for computer and stuff. So what we look at all these things and try, and when you receive every morning your laptop, let's say update your laptop, and so for the simple user, sometimes when you receive update to your computer, you must skip, right? You must skip because you don't care. But for a company, if they skip, they might be talking about skipping, updating 300,000 assets or 100,000 server on-prem, on the cloud, all these things. So they cannot skip these things. They have to update because somebody who is looking for money, who is looking for disruption, can take advantage of this vulnerability. So the company have a team looking into all these things to be able to coordinate inside to patch those vulnerability. And in the enterprise, it's not just the same. It's not exactly the same as people do in their private life, but the concept still the same, which is coordinating to update to make sure that these things are secure. And now also you have a different other area, which is being able to know, okay, now there's an intention. Somebody does not just hack the company because they want to hack for no reason. They might be looking for the people for why looking for that company for a very long time to come and hack those companies. So they have to gather the information. They have to know what's going on. They have to know who is working there. And so there's a lot of, for most companies, there's a lot of team that are just looking to know who is potentially able to hack that company. That's called in a cyber world, that's called the threat intelligence. Be able to assess the threat, because you need to be able to know who is actually potentially able to hack you, for example. You are mute back.
Thank you, Honore. You have alluded to many things I was expecting to talk to you about tonight. When you talk about how we can protect our computers and all the stuff, we live in a world today with what we call Internet of Things, IoT. Right. We have everything connected now, fridge, freezers, even I don't know, everything we have in house today are connected. I want to ask you, is there any difference if I'm not connected? First question, if I'm not using internet, is cyber security a concern for me? Even if I have a cell phone, but I have no internet on it, nothing, everything. Is it a cyber security a concern for only those who use internet to transmit or exchange data?
Not really, because why? Because today, if you take, if most of the time you stay in your house and you receive phone call, right? Mm-hmm. You receive phone call that are not even legit phone call. They say, oh, can you give us your social security number? Because we just found that we need to update this information. So that's have nothing to do with the internet, right? But because they hack, how do they get your number? There's a lot of company that get your number, they get hacked all the time. So your number is available in different hacking out there already. Mm-hmm. So even if you are not using the internet, you receive phone call that, oh, we are a bank of this thing or your bank, can you provide all your social security number? And if you are not aware, a lot of people sometimes are not aware, they provide that number and then they find out that, oh, and also today, and you also have to be able to, you're still concerned because let's say you go shop to, let's say Costco, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say the database of Costco with all your credit card information, your name, all these things, they don't hack you, but they hack Costco. Mm-hmm. But all your information is there. So if they hack them, Costco, then they get all your credit card information. So you're still concerned.
Okay. Another question, just to today we know that we all have smartphones, tablets, and sometimes we are provided with those devices by our companies, and sometimes we connect to the company's network with those devices. How are there policies or a strategy companies need to put in place to protect their own information when individuals connect to use those smart devices to connect to as a company properties?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for the question. That's a very important question because company, first of all, what we have seen in the industry is that most companies will never take the right move to invest in cybersecurity unless they get hacked. Mm-hmm. And we have seen that with most of the biggest companies sometimes. Like recently, I was looking at the LinkedIn page of TikTok. I saw hundreds and hundreds of cybersecurity engineers open job in their career job the next day that they get hacked. Mm-hmm. You know, and not TikTok, that was Uber. And so what that mean? That means that they could have invested that money a long time ago, but they choose to ignore the threat. And so when you come to what was you talking about again?
Yeah, that was that. Like the strategy the companies need to put in place to secure the use of
most
those devices.
Is to be able to then. Yes, I wanted to talk about the investment, right?
Yeah,
that the company need to make up front to make sure that We talk about host security, threat intelligence. We talk about risk assessment, vulnerability assessment, user training. All these things take a lot of different
avenues.
Avenues. For example, sometimes you also haven't have to make a team to react, because even if you have the best engineer, sometimes you can get hacked too, right? Sometimes the company do all the right thing, but they still get hacked. But when that happens, somebody need to respond to the incident.
Yeah. You need like a task force in place, a SWAT team in place.
You need to be able to have a SWAT team that can come in, and that's not it. So those are very, sometimes when it comes to protecting a multi-billion company, those are very specialized skill sets that need to be developed and prepared before that happens. And so
absolutely, Honoré.
Yeah.
I have a last question to Honoré.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, you talked about all those strategies. Is training, what the place of training in cybersecurity in companies? In companies, and first question, and the second one is, what are the career paths today if someone want to work in cybersecurity? That's two questions in one. Thank you.
I would say that we have two types of training. First of all, for the company, each company who has not training its users is bound to fail, right? It's bound to fail, meaning that most threats, even when we do statistics in the industry and stuff, most threat will come, let's say, by just the simple email. Most people have to be able to know where the email coming from. Is that a legit email? And some email are very clever in terms of having people. So there's even some even when company train the user, they have to make sure that the user are able to recognize the threat, are able to make sure. So all these are very upfront training. You don't train your user when they already click on the link. You have to make sure that you do all these things and then know about that. They all constantly train about that. But when it comes to the avenue for working in it's more about, but first of all, cyber is very big. As we see, you need to train people, right? Do you need engineers to train people, for example? You don't, right? You need people who are able to create training, who are able to organize training, who are able. So there's a lot of avenue. Whether you talk about learning the raw technology. What I call the raw technology is being able to know if, for example, you need to protect a Linux server, you need to know how to. You need to be able to go to know what are all this hardening, or not the hardening, but when it comes to all the security that you need to implement to secure a server Linux, for example. Meaning that you will have to know Linux, you will have to know the Windows server, because those are the server that you will see in the company. You will have to know your own laptop at home. In the back end, how do you secure your own laptop when it comes to authentication, when it comes to antivirus, when it comes to make sure that you have the right level of patching. So those are skill sets that you have to have. For example, you have to know networking. Today, networking is essential. Everything is connected, right? If you don't know the network, then you can assess what is in, what is out, what is connected with what port, because all the service running on the computers use what is called port. All these things you have to know. You have to know those basics. But again, and also I talk about risk assessment. I talk about compliance, right? Somebody have to be able to know what is out there in terms of law, because if you're working in some regulated domain, you have to be able to have people who are looking after that compliance. Those are not engineers sometimes. They have to be able to check against the rules. They might be even coming from a lawyer background, or even for it. I work with a lot of engineers working on different things that have history or whatever type of background, but because you cannot assemble a team of only engineers and be successful as a company. So all the background are important, specifically when the company is very big.
Especially they can assess what they call the bad actor psychology. Also need psychologists, they can put themselves in the bad actor's mind or shoes.
Right, you need to be able to get into all these areas because as Innocent said before, there's a lot of all the actors are not the same. Maybe we get into the actors soon, but all the actors are not the same. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will get into the actors in another section, but that will be that's a very important topic. So I like the question that Pierre Armand just asked, and you already touched into some of the answer. Here we have to say again that this talk is being brought to us by IT for All. That is uh, a company that trains people in IT, especially in cybersecurity. And that question is important. Is what I was going to ask you next, because when we were putting together the list of training that IT for All could provide, um, you were very, I'm talking to Honore, you were very, very, very specific about the type of training that we absolutely need. And back then, when you were saying that, hey, we need to include the training for the operating system, that will not make sense out of the box. And you just
Correct.
connected Linux to the cybersecurity there. So I'm just going to pick some of the trainings that are provided for IT for All.
Right.
And then you tell us very briefly
Right.
what is the place of that type of training in the cybersecurity industry.
Right.
Maybe let's start from the very basic, the one of the newest training that we just acquired for IT for All. That's going to be the digital literacy the
Right.
digital literacy training. And this training is really for the everyday person, the normal person. It's not for the expert.
Right.
So tell me, what is the importance of the digital literacy for the everyday person, for the for their information in the cybersecurity? Why is it important for someone who uses a device, let's say an iPhone, an Android phone, a laptop, to take that training if they do not have some IT background?
No, it's very critical because, as you know, most people today are confronted just by being a human being. Right? Just by being a human being today, you need to be able to have a cell phone, a laptop, to communicate, to fill out a form, to post online, to post on Facebook, on different places. Just by going by your own life, you use all those devices every day. So for us, it's very important to be able to provide those tools to the people in terms of how do you stay safe online. How do you keep your password safe? How sometimes you have to get, because you go to 1,000 websites. So how do you get 1,000 passwords? How do you get 10 passwords? How do you secure them? Right? We provide this type of tip to people.
Absolutely.
How do you what are the best practice? Because sometimes what is the best practice? Like you have to keep when it comes to make sure that you are not just clicking on any email or any WhatsApp message. You see all those links coming into WhatsApp. People just click, and sometimes they say, "Oh, my account was hacked." No, you was not hacked. You click on the wrong link, right? So
Absolutely.
we want to make
and
sure
that concept is very well encapsulated in this sentence that I'm going to say right here. Think before you click.
Right.
And people do not understand what it means. Think before you click.
And that's
you just summarize it.
And that's just not for the computer. That's for the cell phone, because we use that. Don't click. Just go download any app that you don't use. Or sometimes digital literacy. Also, how do you stay professional when it comes to your own workplace compared to your personal life? Because today you go to work, they give you a professional computer. You come home, you have how to make sure that you keep all these things separate. How to make sure that sometimes can you just go post anything for your work online? You know, we see a lot of people going on LinkedIn.
Honore, thank you. You're giving a lot of details. I know that they're very important for our listeners. But let's move a little bit so that we take a few things, and then I think at the end you will take us through the idea of boot camps that the IT for All is organizing, and that will let people know how they can learn more about what you're talking about here. That is very important for the life in the cyberspace that we're living in in this area. So
Right.
let me take another training that IT for All offers. That's going to be the help desk training.
Right.
When I hear help desk, and you connected it to the cybersecurity at the beginning, when I hear help desk, I'm like, okay, it's somebody who is going to pick up the phone and then answer to some employee who is in an office somewhere there who is not able to print at some point. So
Right.
what is the importance of help desk support, and how does that connect to the cyber security?
You know that most big company in the world, I mean, help desk is what we call in computer science computer 101, right?
Yeah, that's it.
But at a professional level. Why? Because most people in a workplace, when you have 1,000 or 100,000 or million, some company have 1,000 or 100 around the world. Maybe sometimes they have worker all over the place, right? All these workers are not there to deal with technology. So you need somebody who are at a level very who, who know that computer 101, but at a professional level to provide what is called the first level support to these people. And so we are providing that type of training. Everybody can get into it because again, you don't need a particular background to get into that type of work. But the problem is that set your foot in the technology world, where you can then learn that being able to support people, being able to, but connecting to cybersecurity, something that you don't know is that, let's say a company is facing a very huge attack, right? Most of the time, if you are a trained help desk person, you might start receiving some calls in the couple hours about something happening, right? But if you are not
Yes.
trained, you will just think that these people have some type of technology problem. But
Absolutely. And Honore, let me just pick up from something that you just mentioned about the first level of support. You talked about the first level of support, that people
right,
would take the computer 101 will give the first level. And that is something that
Can,
myself, I will not have
can,
said it,
can I
but
also add
that,
something? That
yes,
they are the first, you said they are the first level of support, but this support desks are also the first line of defense in a
absolutely.
company for when it
that's
comes to cybersecurity.
that's correct.
Absolutely. And that actually led me to, I was going to ask you the question, but I think that is answering the question. Like, then what is the place of someone who has a network training, or someone who has the operating system training? And I guess your answer will be that they are the next level after this computer 101 guy, this IT support 101 guy, and they're going
Yeah,
to give the next level. For example, for the network is, okay, there are some level of network, like just connecting a computer to the network, that the guy with the computer 101 can do. But when it comes to restoring the network after, let's say, a damage from a hurricane. I am in Louisiana. We deal with hurricane every day. When you have a hurricane coming through, the level of support that is going to come on to help the user is going to be someone who really knows the details of the networking, who is able to restore and rewire, if necessary, part of the company, or go get a contractor who can do that, if I understand well. And just let me put in another training, and then you will give just a summary as it comes to you. So I
right,
just mentioned the networking, I just mentioned the operating system, but we also have the highest level of training in the cybersecurity itself. Let's say, for example, the cyber defense training that leads to CISA Plus certification. And I have to mention here that all the training provided by IT for All are training that lead to certification, to
right,
industry level certification, and you will give the best word there for me. So, and we also have, so we have the cyber defense. We also have the ethical hacker
right,
that is from the EC Council. and that is another level of cybersecurity training. We have this security plus training that leads to the security plus certification from CompTIA.
Right.
And what else can I mention here? I think I will stop right there. Oh no, before stopping there, let me take this one. You will comment on this one.
Right.
So the last training that IT for All acquired is the hybrid server.
Right.
If you can comment on the hybrid server for a second, for 30 seconds, what would you say? Why should we train somebody in hybrid server instead of just Microsoft Server 2016, for example?
You know that today, for those who follow technology, and for those who don't follow technology yet, but who might be following technology in the days to come with IT for All, you know that most people are using service that a lot of people hear about the cloud, for example, right? So what is the cloud? The cloud is the ability to create your information or your hardware or your software to be able to use that on some data center that maybe you don't own. And sometimes, but companies still have building. Companies still have what is called on-premise server on their own site. But sometimes they use the hybrid type of environment where they have some asset on site, but they have also other asset on the cloud. So with the server hybrid server training that you're talking about, is that type of connection between let's say Amazon Cloud, Azure Cloud, or Google Cloud, and sometimes you might just choose to keep some very critical information on your site and then have some connection for something that you use on the cloud. So what we train is that connection between the two environment, your on-prem environment compared to the other connection you have in the cloud.
Absolutely. Thank you, Honore. So Pierre Armand, let me ask you this question. So IT for All is moving to this new type of trainings called boot camps. What is the importance of boot camps and how does it work? Can you tell our users?
Yeah, bootcamp is what I will call a few day sessions. It's usually like 2 or 3 days or 4 or even 5 days training session where the trainer will unpack everything with you, but you have also your own work to do, because after the bootcamp you will need to put an amount of work by yourself, like to go get a certification. But with after the boot camp, you have like the essential knowledge about a domain or about an area of competency, I guess. That it's kind of, okay, I will take 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes 5, as I said, like to get up to speed when it comes to a training session. And usually it would lead to a certification. But for that part, even if you get the essential, you will need to put a certain, and I would even say a kind of the most important amount of work, like to go get that certification.
Okay, thank you, Pierre Armand. And Honore, a last question for you. So there is a lot of companies, individual trainings out there. Sometimes they will put together some material to train people. Sometimes they will not have the full background. And especially nowadays with a training, when we're talking about a training in for to go certify for the cyber defense, for example, or when we're talking about training to go certify for ethical hackers.
Right.
How will a guy sitting in his home office somewhere train someone to go certify on those? Do they have the tools to do that? Do they have a network of good size to train people in the type of risk that the company face? And how does IT for All take care of this kind of complex question?
No, I think that's a very good question, and that's the biggest question, the biggest differentiator that we have as IT for All, because most company will train you with a PowerPoint, with some talking, but we have web-based the labs that are able to, where the user is able to train. After we do the training, the user is able to go there and make all the configuration itself, from all the chapter, from the access control, from the doing all the setting, to be able to practice, because you want to be able at the end of your certification to say that I'm able to do this, I'm able to create a virtual LAN, I'm able to investigate, I'm able to do this. But you can't do that if you don't practice. So what IT for All does is to be able to give all these lab, which is web-based, already configured to the people to be able to train, and they can have access to those lab 1 year, up to 1 year after the training, meaning that they can have a real world example, real world hands-on, where they can actually...
Honore, break that down a little bit for our user. Let's say I am training to be the IT support. You see, you call it Computer 101. Right. And when I think about my Computer 101 back in the University of Yaoundé, there is part of it that was about opening a desktop and maybe replacing some RAM memory in there, or the hard drive, or even the motherboard. Right. You talking about web-based lab. Right. Are the students of IT for All, will they be able to do this kind of training where they see how to replace a RAM memory in a computer?
100%. 100%. Our lab are able to provide virtual setup, just like you are in a server room, to be able to open that server, to be able to open that computer, to be able to interconnect everything, to be able, the software will be able to tell you if the network will be able to tell you if your configuration is correct or not, you know. Okay. And so the network will be able to tell you if your configuration is correct or not. So those server, you will be able to do that configuration to do the lab all the enough time that you want, and to be able to know at the end if your testing is, if your configuration is correct or not. The software will tell you, and you can start again, and you can go to the next level, and you can go to the next level, and you can go until when you finish it. So is the practice, is the preparation, is the question, is make sure that when you get the certification, that you are able to be confident when you go to do the interview for the work. And that's just, you talk about the Computer 101, but that's until the cybersecurity, until the networking, until all the server configuration that we do is the same type of mindset.
Absolutely. Thank you, Honore, for breaking that down. Pierre-Amand, I don't know if you have a 30-second comment to make before we close the session for today.
No, that's everything is okay. We learned a lot today, and I guess our listeners will also have a lot to unpack here, and maybe like they will be more guided on where they can register and how they can get in touch with IT for All for their training.
Absolutely. And that just reminds me that here on the screen, we have all the contact information for IT for All. So you can go on our Facebook page. You can send us an email. You can go to our website. You can visit our website, or you can even comment below this video and ask some question. We answer it. So we're going to have sessions like this one on a regular basis. And we are also going to be having boot camps, just like Pierre-Amand just talked about, starting in January. It's going to be a 2 days session of boot camp using the full technology platform offered by IT for All, just like Honore just explained, to train people. In addition to that, we are going to have from time to time some other training that is going to be a Zoom training, not just a live streaming that we're doing right now. It's going to be a Zoom training, free for access, just like this session, where we will take you through the range of tools that is available to IT for All to do a training like the digital literacy, where you will have access to seeing exactly what we're talking about. When we talk about cyber defense, you will be able to configure the server and go through everything that is needed for cyber defense. And all of that, you can find the information on our Facebook page. You can send out an email, contact@itforall.tech, and we'll get back to you and give you more detail if you were not able to find it on our website. And Honore, if you would like to close this session with a last comment that you might have.
No, I'm just we just invite people to reach out to us, like you said, to find out what we do, to see what is the difference of compared to what they do out there. Because I know a lot of people have been asking us to. I think you and me and Bike, we sat down, we design training that can really help people to get to the next level and to get people who want to enter the field or people who are already in the field who want to go to the next level. They can definitely, and we also strive to do ethical training to make sure that we are not selling fake dream to people, just like, because there's a lot of fake dream, people not training people the right way. We want to do this thing the right way. We want to make sure that people, when they put out the time to study, that after that they can be really go to the field and do great things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Honore. Thank you so much for our listeners, those who are listening live and those who will listen later. Thank you for listening to us, and come back next time. We will advertise ahead of time so that you can join live. Thank you. Bye-bye.